Welcome to the Liberty Lighthouse, the show where even though we were gone for 2 weeks, we still probably will have more viewers than Hillary Clinton will have buyers of her book.
Boom. Yes.
I'm Patty Ice.
And I am Trevor Fye. Thank you for tuning into the show. I do apologize for the last 2 shows being canceled. I had some personal emergencies, and even though I'm a little bit under the weather tonight, I still really appreciate everyone tuning in. Patrick, let's start on this wiretap stuff. Maybe Donald wasn't wrong.
I did not really pay attention to this story because I just dismissed it when I first heard it. I actually remember the moment where I heard first about the wiretap. See, Trump tweets excessively, and I had notifications for every single time Trump tweeted. I have since turned them off because they're really excessive. But when this happened, I remember it was like early in the morning because Trump apparently likes to tweet before he even gets out of bed in the morning. And it was like 6:30 a.m. and my phone went off, and I look and on my lock screen I see Trump tweets, Obama wiretapped the Trump Tower. And I remember just putting on my phone like, gosh, dang it, Trump.
Well, okay, so I'm just going to start from the very top of where this all started. March 4th in 2017, Trump tweeted, terrible. Just found out Obama had my wire... Wait, is this actually right? I got to see if his English was right.
This sounds right.
Okay, here's the tweet. I'm reading it from his Twitter right now. Terrible. Just found out that Obama had my wires tapped in Trump Tower just before the victory. Nothing found. This is McCarthyism. What a statement. And okay, and the best part is, I'm going to have to find this to insert into the show, but, the media made out Trump to be, a tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorist, and he was just looking for anything to bash President Obama. And to the shock of mainstream media, something actually happened. His campaign manager, Paul Manafort, was indeed wiretapped. Now, I watched Ben Shapiro's podcast, which he correctly pointed out that the left is going to take this as, oh no, Trump was working with the Russians, not my president, blah, 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 blah. And the right would take it as, see, Obama was spying on Trump. Obama to prison. Hillary for prison. Oh no. Well, they were kind of both wrong. In a sense, both right, both wrong. So, Manafort is alleged to have encouraged the Russians to interfere with the election. Special counsel, led under Robert Mueller, is currently investigating what potential interactions occurred between the Trump campaign and Moscow. Trump himself was not actually wiretapped as far as we know, but the building he lived in and worked out of was. Now, this isn't a crazy idea to me to guess that some of his conversations between he and Manafort were indeed wiretapped. And also, as Edward Snowden pointed out, in a very, very well thought out process of releasing information while not totally screwing over American national security, the NSA can spy whatever they want. So to me, this was not a crazy idea at all.
Pretty much, Trump's right. He was wiretapped, but everybody's wiretapped because of the NSA.
Yeah, pretty much. But, and again, because I really like going after liberals, especially because it brings joy to my heart. This doesn't mean Trump was guilty of any sort of crime. Calls for his impeachment have been brought up once again without any actual evidence. He's your president. Kind of deal with it. I mean, come on. I didn't support the guy during the election. We supported the one dude, Gary Johnson, whatever.
My man, GJ.
But, I mean, it goes back to the entire thing that, okay, your candidate lost. Just because he says mean things doesn't mean he's going to be removed from office. This is just horribly biased. It's funny. And I can't wait for about in 6 months when it probably is going to come out that, hey, maybe Trump himself was wiretapped. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Everybody's wiretapped.
Yeah.
So, that's a life in America. I don't know what else you're gonna do about it. So
that's basically.
I mean, you can try and put a Band-Aid over your camera like Trevor, but.
Oh yeah. Yep. Hey, protect the camera, but make sure that they can't see my face while I do homework in my dorm room. That's perfect.
I mean, I just give up I've accepted I have no privacy.
That's
All right.
ridiculous.
Hey, Trevor,
Yes.
do you want to hear a really sad story?
No, but since we're doing a show, I'm assuming I have to.
So, as you may have heard, nearly at this point, and these numbers are rising because it is an active situation, over 300 people have died in Mexico due to multiple different earthquakes. There was a 6.2 inch, not 6.2 inch, 6.2 rating on the Richter scale earthquake Tuesday. Actually, earlier today, as we're recording on Saturday, so who knows, maybe there will be another one by the time we release the show, there was a 7.1 magnitude.
I thought that happened earlier than today.
It kind of happened, like, later tonight. There's been, like, a lot of the earthquakes over, but this is possibly the biggest one, actually. It happened, like...
Because I knew some, like, 7.2, 7.9.
And it happened almost directly on Mexico City, which a lot of the other ones have been spaced out in Mexico City. This one happened where the epicenter was really close to Mexico City.
That's unfortunate.
7.1 magnitude earthquake. And unless you're really paying attention to the situation in Mexico, you may not know this. But on Wednesday was actually the anniversary of the 35th anniversary of one of the largest earthquakes. And one of the things I was reading on the LA Times was an interesting comparison about how much more prepared people are now and how much better the infrastructure is in Mexico, because this earthquake, and now it was a little bit larger than what we've had so far, but it wasn't as many. 30,000 people died.
Yep.
And, well, we still mourn the loss of the people who have, but this has only been 300. And one of the really interesting, very, very moving quotes I read from an ABC News article about this said, "I was just paying at the supermarket, and suddenly the floor went boom, boom." Mexico City resident Laura Rodriguez told ABC News on Tuesday. "People were obviously panicking, so I rushed out and went to go get my kid from school to make sure he was okay. Luckily, everything was fine, but there was a lot of debris. There were clouds of sort of dust flowing as if a bomb had hit or something."
That's horrible.
Yeah, and it's just really, really unfortunate to hear. One of the things that actually happened to save is that every workplace, it's not government mandated, but almost the entirety of the country does it on the anniversary of this earthquake. Like all schools, businesses, local municipalities, they all have earthquake drills, and they all had them the day before this happened. And so everybody was like really prepared.
That's a great thing. My hearts go out to the families who are suffering losses. I'm pretty sure a school did end up collapsing, and students and faculty.
Yeah,
some of
that
them
was
didn't make
a
it out.
really unfortunate situation.
I would encourage anyone listening to the podcast, and even if you aren't, which you wouldn't hear us now, obviously, but please donate to help the efforts in Mexico City, along with still the hurricanes from. I mean, there's Hurricane Harvey, the one that just hit Puerto Rico.
There is the fires going on in Mexico and Washington, forest fires.
Yeah, a lot of people could use a lot of help right now.
Yeah. One of the interesting things was, and here we can talk about this, Donald Trump offered, and Enrique Peña Nieto did accept, for the U.S. military to go out and help people in Mexico City. And so, Trevor, you as being very fiscally conservative, how do you feel about American taxpayers' funds going to help fund the military to go help relief efforts in another country?
Oh, this is, I'm going to anger I'm going to anger a lot of people here. I am actually not totally against us going down there to help people.
See, Trevor is a very moral Catholic and also a very fiscal conservative. And so these two factions in his head often go to war with each other.
Okay, here's my thought process. If I would rather see us send troops to Mexico City to help them than send troops to Afghanistan to go shoot people.
But, Trevor,
Yes.
did you not hear? Those people in Iraq and Afghanistan need freedom.
Oh, yeah. That's been the...
So we go and kill their people.
We are getting way off track. Way off track.
Did you notice that the countries with the most oil also need the most freedom?
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Okay. Let's get back on track. Is that all you have for the hurricane?
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much
earthquake.
to say. Like, it was a really awful situation. You know, me and him, Trevor and I were discussing this before the podcast. When you have, like, Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma, which we've talked about, Hurricane Jose is probably going to be hitting any day now. We're probably going to be reporting on it next week. And then the Mexican earthquakes. It's like, it's a big news story, but as for a show where we talk and debate opinions, there's not really much to debate. Like, it's an awful situation, and there's not really much opinion to go into it. I mean, there's not much to say other than, wow, that really sucks.
Yeah, that's, like I said, donate, please. It would really help people down there. Whatever you can, even if it's just like $1, anything counts. Donate to blood banks. There's anything.
Also, want to make a quick shout out. A local business here where we're from, United Federal Credit Union, is actually matching donations that go towards Hurricane Irma relief to the Red Cross up to $10,000. So if you want to go to unitedfcu.com, they are matching donations. I donated $50, and therefore it ended up sending over $100.
That's fantastic. All right. Next, we're going to move on to a topic that's been relatively big in the news lately, the Graham-Cassidy healthcare bill. It's being dubbed like Trump Care 2 or 3.0. Just we've had so many different versions.
It's so okay. I'm gonna start out like right away with something. Okay. Obamacare was called Obamacare because Obama was pioneering it. Trump is not pioneering it.
No,
He's like,
and that's why it's referred to now more commonly as the Graham-Cassidy bill.
That makes more sense. But I just hate when they call Trump care. When Trump has like done nothing on healthcare other than like
Trump
saying,
just
like,
wants the bill.
Hey.
He just wants a bill.
He's just like, I want to be able to say I repealed Obamacare, even though he has nothing to do with the healthcare talks. He has not even really campaigned on getting rid of Obamacare. No specifics as to what would happen, other than even more people are going to be covered.
Yeah, what, universal health care? Oh, no.
No, he doesn't. And I just don't see, like, okay, just go on with your story.
Oh, yeah. All right, so the new healthcare bill has made its way to Capitol Hill, and it has, of course, caused an uproar between every possible political faction there is in Washington. Democrats have begun claiming that this bill will kill thousands of people and that Republicans hate people despite them loving Planned Parenthood. Yeah, this bill's gonna kill thousands, but we love Planned Parenthood.
Like, I just love how Democrats, I mean, all political people do this, but Democrats are like, Republicans are going to kill you. I mean, just the same as, like, Republicans say, Democrats eat babies.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, the most awful things you can imagine, when really they're just a bunch of white guys.
Yeah.
Like just pushing paper, but they make them seem like genocide.
Yeah, that's, wow. Anyway, your establishment Republicans are in love with the bill because it's going to look like they actually did something useful for once and kept the promise to repeal Obamacare.
Spoiler alert.
They keep a lot of it.
They didn't do shit.
Alright, so yeah, I'm going to run down through the basics. The bill eliminates the mandate to have insurance, which, I mean, that's great. Don't get me wrong, that's a great thing. It eliminates Medicaid expansion, eliminates tax credits, and eliminates cost-sharing subsidies. The money that would be going toward Medicaid expansion is being put into a lump sum that will allow states to spend it however they want. Medicaid becomes a capped program. Under the Affordable Care Act, it was an open program. Sorry. The subsidy payments would expire in the year 2020, which would lead to states needing to request block grants, and the same thing pretty much happens with tax credits. It expires in 2020, with states requesting block grants again to decide what to do themselves.
Okay, Okay, I'm gonna jump into here again.
Okay.
Tax credits are like one of the only things I liked about Obamacare. Like, you buy health insurance and you can get a discount on how much you pay in taxes. How is that not considered?
What this is doing is it's turning it back to the states. It's pretty.
Well, it's saying that the states have to request block grants, and
well, they'd have to do that regardless under this bill.
Okay.
I'm going to continue with it. Then I'm going to give my opinion on it later, just because I want to report stuff and then say my
yes, I'm
piece.
doing the bad thing.
A lot of the taxes under Obamacare still remain. The medical device tax is one of them that's being eliminated. Premiums are going to be based on age, so if you're old, I kind of feel bad for you because your premiums are more than likely to go up. Individuals and families are eligible to contribute more to their HSAs. Plus, HSAs could be used to pay to pay insurance premiums, which under the ACA is not currently allowed. Luckily, it looks like the bill will die and not be passed. Rand Paul has been very vocal on Twitter, stating in many tweets his reasoning behind his opposition to the bill. John McCain, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski appear to be against the bill as well, but for far different reasons than Rand Paul is. They're like, oh, it doesn't do enough. I don't even know their specific reason.
Like, pretty much John McCain's a socialist.
Yeah. And, so this puts the whip count at 48 votes in favor of the bill and 52 not in favor of the Graham-Cassidy healthcare vote. So pretty much in essence what this bill does is it keeps a lot of the same things the ACA has, but it kind of rebrands it and gives it back to the states.
But are states made to enforce it?
Well, if it's up to the states, then they don't necessarily have to. But somewhere in the estimated cost, I saw that it was going to cost like $1 trillion, I think. And I mean, okay, coming from a Republican-led Congress, Senate, and presidency, I would assume we could get something that doesn't cost so much. I am kind of just sort of like repeal it, don't replace it. So at that case, because there's certainly no constitutional authority for the federal government to be involved in healthcare. But even more on top of that is it would give the states the ability to determine what they want.
Yeah, I don't like the bill, but I also am starting to think is turning it back to the states the best we're going to get out of the Congress?
See, I don't want to vote for a bill that costs $100 trillion.
But I also don't want to vote down
I see what you're saying, because if this doesn't pass, it won't pass in 2017. And in 2018, like again, Ben Shapiro rightfully pointed out, no one's going to want to vote for a super controversial bill because of midterms. So it's an interesting dilemma. My automatic guess, my gut feeling is I would not support this bill.
I don't like the bill, but man, I am all for just doing like free market, but I also am starting to think like the reason I'm kind of like okay-ish with this bill is that it's better than what we had last time, if you ask me. And turning it back to the states is something I usually am in favor of, and I'm starting to think
it keeps a lot of the same federal taxes though. I mean, it's not like we're getting this brand new beautiful thing where, you know, the taxes are eliminated. It eliminates very few of the Obamacare taxes. And that causes a big problem for me who, I mean, we talked about earlier in the show, a big fiscal conservative. I don't like spending money. Now, of course, I'm contradicting myself a little bit by sending troops to Mexico, but but I mean, regardless, this plan, I don't support it. I'm grateful to see that it's not going to pass, at least so far. But I think they have 2 weeks to amend it, pretty much. I think the vote's at the end of the month.
If they were to repeal some more taxes, how would you feel about it?
I'd have to still run through the specifics of the bill. It depends what taxes. It depends on so much.
I'm a little unsure because I don't like the amount of taxes that keep. But other than that, like I'm just really worried because of the fact that Bernie Sanders is also putting together his universal health care bill.
That won't pass.
John McCain.
Okay, but here's the thing: some Republican senator, or it might have been someone from House. It might have been someone in the House, but a Republican put forward something to say, okay, let's get it on your voting record. How would you vote for universal health care? And that did not pass. Overwhelmingly did not pass. That means bipartisan support said no to universal health care. So Bernie Sanders can do whatever the heck he feels like he needs to do. Universal health care in the United States...
Except he won't retire.
Oh, God, I wish he would. But universal health care won't pass.
I mean, 2020, I think he's going to run again. If he's not dead.
Which, I mean, I hope and best that obviously he has good health and everything, but I want him to retire. He has...
Bernie Sanders is old as hell. I'm still not sure how he's not dead. Same with John McCain. Yeah. Of course, John McCain came close, but...
I feel awful for Mr. McCain.
I do too, but I hate the guy. Okay, I want him to lead a long, happy, retired life.
I hope that...
Like, bro, you'll still get paid. You get pension. Like, just retire. Just go do McCain things. Go explore the Arizona desert.
Yeah, it's... and through everything McCain went through, you know, being a soldier too, he's been put through so much. I respect him as a military
I don't
person.
respect him as a politician.
Exactly. As a politician...
I mean, okay, actually, I should say that. I should rephrase that. I respect him as a politician. I don't respect him as a representative. But when he's actually running for race, he is one of the most respectable people there is.
Yeah,
I just don't want him to win those races.
All right. But yeah, this bill pretty much I don't know what other to do, because I mean, in order to repeal it, you need 60 votes. You need 60 votes to repeal this bill. Or the Affordable Care Act, rather.
I don't think
that's not going to happen.
I think they're just going to amend it and stuff and like morph it into this thing.
I don't know. Personally, if you're going to have any sort of replacement bill, you should check out Rand Paul's bill. It's 5 pages long. It's very simple to read. He doesn't pack it with a bunch of random, we're going to tax glasses frame sales or some weird thing.
It's funny because Obamacare.
Alright, what do you got next? I'm tired of talking about healthcare.
Okay. Alrighty, so we're gonna talk about the South. Alrighty.
South?
Yep. And it's in weed killers. So, there is... Sorry, let me get to my notes because my laptop is being difficult. Okay, so there is, in the great state of Arkansas and Alabama, a very interesting debate going on around a weed killer by the name of Trevor's internet should be faster. Okay.
See, okay, it was. I just want to clarify something. It was not my fault. He was not scrolling properly.
Okay, so Trevor, how do you feel about Monsanto?
From what I've heard, I have heard more than a few conspiracy theories, and I'm not thrilled with them. So, I'm curious to hear what you're about to ask me next.
So, there is a chemical by the name of dicamba. It is very commonly used by Arkansas and Alabama farmers. But basically, U.S. regulators last year approved for it to be used on soybean pinks because of the fact that the herbicide they generally use, called glyphosate, the weeds were starting to become immune to them. So they started going, that is the glyphosate is mainly, if you're familiar with the weed killer Roundup. Very, very commonly used. One of the biggest weed killers there is. So dicamba, though, was for farmers that were using it and their plants were starting to become immune. It's stronger, but there's an issue. It floats. And I'm not talking about it. But So basically, as you know, in big farmland, I mean, we live out in an area with a lot of farmland. Farmland tends to border other farmlands.
Right.
And dicamba, when it got sprayed, it tended to drift into other people's farms.
Violates
and
property rights.
I mean, they didn't intend to do that. But
It still violates it.
But that's the thing, though, is, though that means that if we outlaw it, then that means we also can say that, hey, you can't use this on your property. And basically, those other farmers, their plants were not immune to it, their plants were not prepared to it, and therefore it just ended up killing their plants. And so therefore, they are talking about repealing it, and the EPA is talking with Monsanto and these farmer groups in talking about regulating it, and Arkansas is going to be voting on it in the 2018 election to outlaw dicamba entirely in the state of Arkansas.
Like a popular vote between the citizens?
Yes.
Oh, wow. This is a bigger issue than I thought it'd be.
Yeah. Well, because, I mean, Arkansas is really mainly
Rural.
nothing but farms.
Right.
And so this is a big issue to the Arkansas voters. And so the question is, you know, you have people who want to use it on their private property, but also the chemical tends to drift and get into other people's, and so therefore, obviously, it violates property rights. So, Trevor, what is your thoughts on this issue?
Hopefully, the free market will come up with a solution to to get the same chemical. I'm not good with chemical names, but with the most effective chemical, and to assure that, lost my train of thought. That hopefully it doesn't drift into other people's property, because we're in a world where we have to build up immunities. It kind of just sucks. I wish everything was like all fancy and no GMOs, blah 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 blah. But I say you have to remain on the safe side of not violating other people's rights. Yes, you would be restricting someone's ability to use something, but you're going to someone who's not consenting at all to having that product used on their farm. So I'd say, personally, I hate saying this, but it should be temporarily banned until a better product can be found.
At least right now we're going to be out of the growing season, so
it'll give some time to
and Monsanto has said that they're going to be working on coming up with it, and they also say that there are newer compounds of the product that tend to spread less, but it's also very difficult to apply, so they're going out and they're educating farmers, because, you know, this is like where we live. For the most part, we have a lot of just people farming for the fun of it. Mm-hmm. But, you know, especially you go to a state like Arkansas, this is people's livelihood. You know, you spray this, it floats into their property, it kills their crop. They're out money. That is their livelihood. And so it is a very important issue.
Yeah, certainly.
And so that's why I heard this story, and I was just like, man, we got to talk about it.
This is almost one of the... There aren't any winners, and there can be losers in this. Mm-hmm. I'd say, and what I would prefer to do is temporarily say this product can't be used, and that, because I guarantee you, today's technology is fantastic. Every day we get better with it. I am sure that in the off season for growing, scientists can find a better alternative.
You know, I was listening to the story, and I was hearing about farmers that, you know, it's good to think, you know, now we're out of the growing season, and so therefore, you know, they can work on it. But there are farmers that were really affected by it. I was listening to one farmer who says that he usually could take the winter off, spend time with his family, and now he's having to get a temporary second job because it impacted his crops enough that he does not have enough money to make it through the dead season.
That's terrible. And it's an unfortunate thing, but you have to rule on the safer side of things, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so, so if hopefully the show will be around on April 15th, 2018, so that we can discuss how this situation ended up going.
Yeah, definitely. Are we ready to move on?
All right, is this the beast?
This is
the beast. Okay, so just so you know, grab your popcorn because Trevor's about to talk about the UN.
Yeah, we could have honestly had an entire show about Trump's United Nations address. It was so long, and I loved the speech. It was great.
Before we continue.
Yes.
Rocket Man!
That's in here. That's in here.
When I heard about that, I had to think about the Elton John song.
Yep. Oh, God. All right, so over the last week, hundreds of world leaders and their respective delegations met in New York because of the United Nations General Assembly meeting. Tuesday, Trump had his chance to address the body, and he took advantage of it. He had his topics and goals of America First, socialism in Venezuela, and the situation in North Korea. He started out by flaunting the success of the American economy since his presidency, saying employment was at a 16-year low because of the elimination of certain regulations. He continues by saying, quote, companies are moving back, creating job growth. Wow, I did not quote well. Creating job growth, the likes of which our country has not seen in a very long time.
Okay. One thing I want to say here is that people, a lot of people were saying how he's telling these foreign countries about how awesome America is. But when you talk about he's saying how jobs are moving back, you're addressing people where they're leaders in their countries that are probably going to be losing jobs. Yep. And so, okay, giving it back to you.
And after he discussed the current state of his young administration's success in the economy, he turned to military and foreign policy. He announced that the military now has a $700 billion budget, and it will be the strongest it has ever been.
My eyes water.
Amount of tax dollars. Now, I could, like we said, we could have an entire show on this, so I just wanted to nail it down to a few points that I found important. He emphasized the need for strong sovereign nations, which to me is the best possible scenario for everything. I love sovereignty. I love freedom. You do you in your own borders. In the address, he said, quote, we do not expect diverse countries to share the same cultures, traditions, or even systems of government. But we do expect all nations to uphold these two core sovereign duties, to respect the interests of their own people and the rights of every sovereign nation. He continued by calling for the need of a nation to give the people He continued by calling for the needs of a nation and its people to control their own destiny, as well as work together with other nations on the basis of mutual respect.
Now, one thing I wanted to put in here is that I was actually listening to NPR, fake news, but actually I still like NPR quite a bit. But one of the things that was interesting to hear is that a correspondent from NPR that actually was at the UN General Assembly said that, a lot of mainstream media is trying to make it sound like Trump's crazy, but actually she was interviewing a lot of those ambassadors, and actually that comment about how as president of America, I will put American first and you should put the rights of your countries first, that was actually very popular among many world leaders. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people expected that all these world leaders are going to be a bunch of globalists. Sure, some of them are, but a lot of people really liked Trump's statement because of the fact that, he talking about American first, but he also respected those countries' rights to put their country's interests first.
Exactly. Continuing, the president turned to North Korea, and this is funny. I love this. This was great listening to. He said, the United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and his regime.
I wish you guys could see Trevor's face right now as he's reading this.
The United States is ready, willing, and able, but hopefully this will not be necessary. Wow. Beautiful. I love it.
Rocket Man.
Trump called for nations to isolate the regime until they stop being so hostile. After going after the North Koreans, he turned his attention to the Iranians. Before we move on to Iran, Patrick, do you have anything else to say on North Korea?
China has actually stated that all banks based out of China must at least temporarily stop doing business with North Korea. Which my main man Trump, I gotta say, I can't help but feel like he was involved in this.
Oh, yeah, some deal had to have gone down.
Yeah, he probably just offered to continue building the Great Wall of China.
All right. Next thing, going after Iran, he said that the Iran deal is an embarrassment to the U.S. And then continued saying that Iran's wealth goes toward the Assad regime in Syria. The Assad regime in Syria, fueling the civil war in Yemen, and undermining peace in the Middle East. Trump continued by saying Iran must start serving its own people and respecting the sovereign rights of their neighbors. Very strong words on Iran, and words that I, again, tend to agree with. I mean, Iran they're known to fund terrorism. They're not exactly the best neighbors to have, and I don't really see a problem in what he called out. He called out corruption that's happening in the Middle East.
That's what's up, dude. Okay, you guys, just so you know, because you guys don't talk with Trevor as often as I do, after this address, Trevor, for like the next day, was so hardcore Trump, I thought he might also buy a Make America Great Again hat.
Yeah, and then he began talking about healthcare, in which I was like, reality check, unfortunately. God, if he could be the Donald Trump in this address, I would love it. He has the potential to be a great president.
But sometimes it's just like you wake up in the morning like, which Trump are we gonna have today?
and that's why I'm almost I hate Obamacare. This is getting a little off tangent, but anyway, I hate Obamacare so much. But hopefully, 2018 brings in people like Austin Peterson and Kid Rock. Even.
Okay, no, I am still not supporting Kid Rock.
But anyway, regardless, well, maybe John James. I mean, I liked him a lot.
I do like John James.
John James.
I like John James.
I still want to see some stuff from him. But anyways, the final topic I want to talk about from the address is Trump's amazing words on Venezuela.
Oh yeah.
And Reagan-esque
hashtag
oh yeah.
roasted.
This to me was like Donald Trump trying to give his best impression of being Ronald Reagan here. He said, "The problem in Venezuela is not that socialism has been poorly implemented, but that socialism has been faithfully implemented. Wherever true socialism or communism has been adopted, it has delivered anguish and devastation and failure." Now, this statement led to there was a pause because Trump was just staring out at everybody like, all right, do something. And then it was like and that such a delayed applause.
I know, it's just he just looks at them like, bruh,
do something.
You want to fight me?
Do something. Tell me I'm wrong about socialism, folks. Tell me. I have facts. It's called Cuba and Venezuela.
Venezuela would have probably tried to fight him, but they're too
they
weak
panned
from hunger.
while watching it. They panned directly toward the Venezuelan delegation, and there was this dude who just looked like he hated the world right there.
And on a scale
funny.
of 1 being Trump level full and 5 being a poor homeless guy, how hungry did the Venezuelans look?
Oh God! Stop. Stop.
All you need to know about Venezuela is that they probably don't eat.
Stop. But something there was a quote in here that I couldn't really find to fit into any of the specific topics I wanted to talk about. But Trump said, and this is a quote from Trump, and this is again the sort of Donald Trump I want to see. He said, "In America, we do not seek to impose our way of life on anyone, but rather to let it shine as an example for everyone to watch." if Donald Trump's administration followed that, I will buy 14 Make America Great Again hats.
Why 14?
I don't know. That was the first number that came to my head. But I will personally buy 14 Make America Great Again hats if he returns to the constitutional principles I want to see.
I mean, I don't think Trump was ever going to be the most constitutional president, but I feel like he's just so American. Like, I imagine that Trump sits in Trump Tower on his gold couch with his gold walls and his gold floor and gold ceiling and just eats ribs and just bare-chested eats ribs with a bald eagle next to him with a butt in his hand watching the
baseball.
I don't know, probably baseball. He doesn't seem like he has the attention span for baseball, so he probably watches football.
No one actually can watch a baseball game all the way through, and I'm a big baseball fan.
I watch baseball all the way through.
I can sit down and watch it, but I have to also have something else to do while watching it, unless I get really heated, which happens very frequently. So,
but I mean, I just imagine he just has like a football game just on just gigantic TV because I just assume he has like something crazy like
a 400-inch flat screen.
400-inch flat screen, just bare chested, eating ribs, bald eagle next to him with a butt in his hand.
He probably doesn't watch football though because his football franchise failed.
The Patriots. The Patriots failed?
No. He had a football team back in the day. I think it was like the American Football League or something. That franchise failed.
Oh, but he's still he's really hardcore into the Patriots.
Well, yeah, because Tom Brady is his boy.
Someone there was this rumor going around for like a short time saying that when Trump runs for re-election, he's not going to have Mike Pence, but he's going to run with Tom Brady.
Yep.
And I'm just like, no.
That's a great way to guarantee a loss because there's so many people who won't vote for Tom Brady just on the fact that the Patriots they're such a hated organization that would just cause it wouldn't happen.
So someone said that Trump's going to buy the Patriots, in which I'm thinking,
why? Robert Kraft is pretty well liked in terms of being an NFL owner.
Well, yeah, but Trump just does Trump's thing and he wants to just own the Patriots.
Well, we saw how that worked last time, just saying.
I mean, how much does the owner really do?
A lot. They determine who gets put where. If it weren't for Robert Kraft, who knows if Bill Belichick's still a Patriot.
I mean, okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, well, we got way off topic. I'm pretty much done with the UN segment.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Equifax, which,
oh, yes.
As some of you may know, I actually work in the finance industry, so of course I had to have this story because I actually know what's going on.
Yeah, I know what's going on too. I had to make sure my bank account wasn't going to get drained.
Well, it could happen, though.
Oh, I'm monitoring it. Don't worry.
The thing is, okay, so we're going to go over a little bit of a rehash because, again, we weren't here last week and this was the biggest story of last week, but there's been updates. So basically, Equifax was hacked. 143 million people's information was lacked, whether it be social security numbers, date of birth, copies of driver's license, names, addresses. This was all hacked. And to understand how big of a leak this is, that is 51.7% of adult Americans. Over half of the adult population.
Now, isn't that the general population? Because what, we're 325.
Well, they say 157 because of the fact that Equifax, you can't start collecting really data about them until they're adults.
Okay.
So, yes, that's over half of the adult population had their information leak. And basically this happened because of hackers. And it was back in July that this data leak actually happened. And they knew about it back in July, and Americans didn't find out about it until last week. So that was over a month ago. Now, one of the big interesting things out of this, and this again happened last week, so this is more of a recap at this point, but some of the owners of Equifax, some of the stakeholders, sold their shares right before they information was released to the public.
How convenient.
As you can imagine, the
How convenient.
the FTC is looking into this. But
How convenient.
and one of the big stories of this week is just like Equifax screwed up, and then they just like stumbled even further. So, basically, they set up this EquifaxSecurity2017.com for you to be able to put in your information, find out if you're possibly affected, and you could enroll in a free trial of their identity theft protection for a year, and then you'll have to pay for it afterwards.
What the heck?
Yeah.
This just seems like a never-ending ball of stuff that's about to go wrong.
See, the thing is, though, is that Equifax is a big website, and by adding, especially with how long that is, Equifax Security 2017, with that URL, do you know how easy it is to start phishing from that?
I'd imagine fairly easy.
And so, a member of a blogger who a technology blogger who wanted to show how easy it was, he made a website called SecurityEquifax2017.com. No, he did not take people's information. He just wanted to prove how easy it was. And his site had over 200,000 hits after it was launched. And in fact, Trevor, are you ready for this?
Yep.
Equifax's official Twitter 3 times tweeted out his link on accident, directing people to go there.
What the heck?
To then find out if they had their information compromised.
Dude, why?
Equifax is stumbling so hard. But this is the problem. And this is the reason we're really discussing it. That is that when you have something like this, see, you would think, okay, well, you know what? They messed up so far. Normally, in a free market economy, that would mean you would just stop using their product.
Right.
But the way credit works in America, you cannot stop using their product. You cannot not use Equifax. They're one of the 3 major credit bureaus, and you cannot not use them. They gather your information anywhere you bank, you have anything, it has to be reported to them. There is no way to not use Equifax. I actually had a personal friend of mine who said, well, I don't use Equifax. But you do.
Wrong.
Everybody does. If you are over the age of 18 and you have a checking account.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've been checking my stuff vehemently.
And this is the thing.
Oh.
Is that people say, oh, well, Equifax, they offered a year of it. But the thing is especially...
I'm not signing
I know
up.
this.
I'm not signing up.
But the thing is that even then, this is not something that will be done in a year. This could happen. Someone has your social security number. That doesn't change. Mm-hmm. And therefore, this could be, you could have something happen because of this leak 60 years in the future.
Yep.
It is something that is never going to go away. Mm-hmm. Equifax screwed up on such a grand proportion. See, the thing is that like when PlayStation Network, they accidentally leaked people's emails and credit cards and stuff like that. You can change your email, you can cancel your credit card, you can get a new one. You can't get a new social security number. Mm-hmm. Unless...
So okay, let me stop you here. So we can actually blame FDR for this? Well, yes! I can spin it in my own needed way to blame FDR.
Actually not. Because of the fact that the Social Security Administration for the longest time said, do not use our numbers as personal identification. They're not secure numbers. I don't know if you knew this.
I'm still blaming them. Regardless of the facts, I'm going to
blame FDR for everything, yes. But we had, because of the fact that people never wanted to get a national identification number, because that seems like you're being labeled with a number, and that seems bad. But the problem is that then they're forced to use something like Social Security, which is not a secure number. Like, literally, your credit card number, because I actually know how credit card numbers work, it is far more secure than your Social Security number. It is not a secure number. It is not at all. The thing is that your number, I don't know if you knew this, but if you can get when someone was born and where they were born, you can get a good chunk of their number because of the fact that the numbers are coded for your birth state, city, hospital, and it literally just numbers up until it goes over 9,999 and then recounts.
I bet. That's ridiculous.
It's not a secure number, but it also was never meant to be. But we have a system that uses this, and that is why someone finding out your social security number, and especially because of the fact that you can't change your social security number, it makes it that this is just something that some people are never going to have to deal with. Because I work in a financial institution, I've worked with identity theft, I've worked with it, and it is nasty, and it really messes people up, and it is really unfortunate. We are not sponsored by them, but
personal experiences happen.
I would honestly recommend getting LifeLock protection. I use LifeLock protection. Again, we're not sponsored by LifeLock. We don't have enough viewers to be sponsored by anybody. So when I say this, I really just know it's a good product, and I do use it. LifeLock protection is something I highly recommend. Talk to your credit union if you have a credit union. If you don't have a credit union, get a credit union because banks are awful. And because a lot of them have actually started giving LifeLock at a discount to their members. So there's a lot of ways to get LifeLock, and it is something that's really worth it. This is also, okay, this just says how awful the credit system is in America. But let's say, you wanted to do a credit freeze, which basically means no one can pull your credit. Because of the fact that, especially with how fresh this is, some people want to do that. If you want to freeze your credit, you have to pay for it.
Theft.
You have to pay to have your credit freezed.
Wow.
So, well, the thing is, though, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian are all private companies. And this is the question. Most countries have, because of how important this is, they actually have it where your credit is basically, it's held by the government.
No, I don't want that.
So then what do you think we should do?
Free the market.
But the market is freed.
And
this is what happened.
Sure, but there are only 3 corporations, you said, right?
Correct, because of the fact that you would have to also start...
I imagine there are a ton of hoops you have to hop through because the financial industry is an ugly industry.
But also, I can speak from experience and say that a company trying to break would have to try and convince every single bank and credit union and any sort of credit thing to start reporting to it.
Perfect. They bring a good product then. That's the free market. Gosh, that angers me. They have a monopoly on this thing.
I mean, it's not super hard to get a credit company established, but trying to get for it to work, you literally have to have every single bank and credit union, or else you're not going to be able to get a accurate credit report.
Yeah. All right, we're done with the financial institutions for now.
I mean, I don't think we're ever going to be done with financial institutions.
All right. Well, anyways, next is a story that Patrick thinks is ridiculous, but it's very near and dear to my heart. Surprise, surprise, Facebook turns out to be a left-wing organization that hates liberty.
The reason I don't care about this is because of the fact that that's not a surprise.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Missouri Republican Senate candidate Austin Peterson, he was slapped with a 30-day ban for posting something that was pro-Second Amendment. Peterson's campaign just started an AR-15 giveaway if you sign up that you support his campaign. After you sign up, you can then have the option to donate to his campaign.
Wait, really?
Yeah, dude. I already signed up and everything.
Oh, shit. Okay, as soon as we get off here, I'm going to be doing that.
Solid. But, it's shockingly, Facebook found a reason to ban the grassroots candidate's personal page, hindering his ability to communicate with his base on the social media site. Now, his public page is still up and running, and he can communicate somewhat with those on Facebook, but expect his Twitter presence to increase greatly. Now, don't get me wrong, Facebook has every right to do what they want with their users. It's a private organization, blah, 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 blah. I get it, property rights, whatever. So no one should... I'm not, asking for, the government to step in here and say, oh, no, unban Austin. Because at the end of the day, it's their choice. That being said... This just shows the disgusting left-wing agenda that is being used to silence a libertarian conservative. Austin is a rather easy target too, just because I mean he's admittedly a small grassroots candidate with smaller name recognition than other potential candidates. So he's not like a difficult target to go after. But I'm going to point this out. What if Bernie Sanders, during one of his runs, said, I'm going to give out free health care? Now, I'm not sure how this would exactly work, but just follow along with me theoretically. And then Facebook, the conservative group that it is in this magical non-left-wing world, decided to ban him because for whatever reason, healthcare is offensive to whoever. Progressives would lose their damn minds.
Maybe progressives already lost their damn minds.
But, I mean, it shows just a horrible double standard the left has created. And honestly, it's dangerous for a free democracy. Silencing ideas has been a very common tactic recently for the left. Whether it's banning conservatives on social media, like Milo Yiannopoulos and now Austin Peterson.
Yeah, Milo!
Or rioting on college campuses, threatening a Jewish man in Ben Shapiro. Leave it up for whatever you want to do. We'll have a show later on endorsements, but I'm just going to give out the early one here. We do endorse Austin Peterson for U.S. Senate in Missouri. You can find what he stands for at austinpeterson.com. Spell Peterson with an E.
Also, as Trevor can actually see right now, I am literally donating money, like, as we speak right now.
Yes. And if you do like him enough, donate, man. It's great.
I forgot my card number and I left my wallet up my car.
Well, you can do that later.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for the Austin Peterson thing. But yeah, definitely sign up. Win an AR-15, man. Make America win again in liberty.
Make America great again. Okay, so is this the last story, Trevor?
I think it is. I'm heartbroken. It is the last story.
We did not go nearly as long as we were anticipating, but you know what? Who knows? Maybe
Hey, by the time we finish, who knows? We could easily be over an hour. Probably will be, actually.
So, T-Mobile, the pink carrier, as they call themselves, the Un-carrier, is talking about buying Sprint. Now, this is not a technology show yet, but the reason this is interesting is because a couple of years ago, about 3 to 4 years ago, Sprint was talking about buying T-Mobile. Which, by the way, can we just state how successful that shows T-Mobile has been? That Sprint was going to buy T-Mobile, but okay, at the time they were around the 40,000 member range, where Sprint was about 55 to 60, and now T-Mobile is hitting about 80,000. And Sprint is still a little under now, 55,000. Now, T-Mobile was talking about buying Sprint, but the reason this is interesting is that the reason Sprint did not buy T-Mobile about 3 to 4 years ago is because the FCC was all like, no, we're not going to allow it. Now, under the Trump administration, regulations are a lot more laid back. The FCC has been shown to be very business friendly, and now it looks like the deal will go through. Now, personally, I am hoping it falls through as a Sprint subscriber because Sprint sucks, and also that means that we will have just 3 gigantic carriers, and really Sprint and T-Mobile being kind of the underdogs has actually pushed prices downward, and therefore AT&T Verizon have been forced to be more competitive and starting pushing prices downwards. So I do see that there will be a hurt to the consumer if this deal goes through, but they are private businesses, and therefore they have the right to do what they want.
Correct.
Personally, again, I hope the deal falls through, but honestly, I really think that if it does, it has nothing to do with the FCC. It is going to have to do with the fact that T-Mobile is on a very fast upward trajectory, and Sprint is stumbling hard. Sprint has horrible coverage. Sprint is pretty much the only one that's going to benefit from this deal at this point.
Yeah.
Although they do have some lower band towers and such, and therefore it'll be greater for trying to stretch across rural areas. But T-Mobile has actually the technology to start doing 5G network, which is going to be
really?
very interesting to see. Yeah, T-Mobile right now is on the front lines of being able to do 5G speeds, which 5G is okay. I'm going to go off a little bit on a tech tangent here, but 5G speeds is very interesting because of the fact that that is faster than even a really fast Wi-Fi signal, and therefore that will allow for more automation of cars and such.
Oh no. Like, okay, I get that it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna be like one of those. We must stay in the non-automation part of automobiles. I'm sorry, I just can't picture a robot driving for me.
Robots drive better than people. As someone who drives,
Bet. I don't know. I don't trust it. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
but because right now, as automation stands, if someone is ahead of you and such, and if we're going to go to this fully automated car society, with the speeds that internets go right now, things can be very delayed. You know, I mean, have you ever tried watching a YouTube video on data? But yeah, it is going to be very interesting to see how this works because of the fact that with 5G data, you know, things can go insanely fast.
Right.
You know, as Elon Musk likes to demonstrate, because Elon Musk is one of the great innovative people of our time, he was able to show that a car was able to be going full speed towards a cliff, and then immediately something like dropped off, and then it was immediately able to just stop.
Wow.
It's insane how fast that is. But, okay. So T-Mobile has that, and therefore, if Sprint and T-Mobile were to happen, I think it would be worse. You know, a lot of industry specialists say that if T-Mobile were to buy Sprint, they would raise prices because there was less downward pressure, and we could be seeing people pay just for their data plans, let alone even the actual phone payments, end up starting out at $100.
It's a crappy thing. Again, it's entirely up to the businesses, from my view. We both agree here. Private businesses do what they want to. And what you've told me, I'm not a big tech guy, so I don't really know the ins and outs of it. But it's probably not going to benefit the consumer if it does go through, based on what you're saying. But I don't know, hopefully alternatives like a track phone, for example, that I
but
know.
the thing is that track phone and stuff like that, they don't build their own towers.
Right. But I mean, it's still track phone's a solid alternative if you want to remain low budget.
But also the thing is that because of the fact that, again, prices would be rising, track phone would still rise in price because of the fact that AT&T and such, they a lot of times, you know, they lower the prices and they sell off that signal strength at wholesale price to places like TracFone, Cricket, GoPhone, things like that. But if they don't have, you know, another low budget option, then there is less incentive to sell them that at a low price. And so those what's called, they're called mobile virtual network operators, MVNOs. They entirely still rely on those four big carriers for selling them signal, and with this deal going through, they have less reason to provide low budget options.
Yeah.
And so I honestly think if this deal goes through, I think the free market may respond in another carrier coming to actually start building towers.
That's very possible.
But federal regulations
make that very difficult.
And that's, yeah.
Yeah. That's hopefully something great happens and prices just fall down. It all goes back to federal regulations just killing stuff. That's just the reality of the situation we live in. Yeah. I think that is it for the show.
Alright, you guys. Even though Trevor hates Facebook, please give us a like on Facebook.
Follow us on Twitter too, at the Liberty LH. Follow us.
And by the way, please submit your questions. We would love to answer viewer questions. You know, whether it's a question about a topic we talked about, something you want us to cover, or what Trevor's favorite ice cream is. Do not tell them, Trevor, because of the fact that we need to respond to that question in the next episode.
Right.
The people will be titillated.
Yes. We appreciate everyone watching. Like, share, please. We really want to be a successful media source, and your likes and shares and everything and views too Really helps. We do have something big in the making that we will not quite tell you yet, but definitely stay tuned for that. It'll be a great announcement. We'll probably actually do an entire show special on it just because I'm so excited for it.
And if you want to, email Ben Shapiro and tell him to come on our show.
Yeah, but man, wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be so lit. Just like, even though we only have a couple hundred viewers, Ben Shapiro just decides to show up, or Milo. Really, anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to be on our show. We're low enough that
we give Austin Peterson enough press as it is. Come on, Austin, why not?
AP don't even know who we are, but he will. He will.
Yes. All right.
Eventually.
Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys had great weekends, and please like, subscribe, and have a good week moving forward.
And don't forget to make America great again.
Yes.